Hi, just want to show you some of my Arduino projects. The first one, I just wanted to determine how all the different sensors worked. So I made a little box with my own Arduino board inside. If you look inside, you see a little Radio Shack circuit board inside there with a microcontroller chip and a 9-volt battery and a little speaker up there to make some beeps. Let me turn it on here. The sensors are all in the front. There's an infrared sensor up top that picks up the TV remote and gives me essentially 4 different channels: a motion channel, a sound channel, a distance channel, and I think I've got a blinking light channel. And the channels correspond to the different colors on the remote: yellow, red, green, blue on the remote. So if I push the yellow on the remote right here, the yellow light will come on, and notice the blinking up top? The speed of that blinking determines how far away one is from the ultrasound sensors. So if you're close, it blinks faster. See how it's blinking faster up top? If I'm further away from the TV here, it starts to blink slower. So it's real slow. So there's a function in there that determines the distance in centimeters from the front of the box, and the speed of the light will change. Any other signal from the remote will turn off the yellow light and beep. The blue light is a sound sensor. If I make a sound, this sensor right here picks up, its little microphone picks up the sound and sends out a beep. So I'll make a sound louder, louder. So that's that one. The red sensor was connected to a servo up top, but I didn't like the way the servo was acting, so I took it off, and I got to do some more research on that. That just blinks a red light for me. So red blinks it red some more. Turn it off. The green, that is the passive infrared, the PIR right here. Notice it's red right now. Now it turned dark. If there's no motion, the green light is steady. If there's motion, I move, then the green light starts blinking. Stop moving, the green light stops. Start moving, the green light comes on. So I tested all these sensors, including writing some programs in C++, which was fun to do. I've got some background in programming, but it certainly is sort of a nice opportunity to review. Okay, we'll turn this one off. My second project was a little tank that I got from Radio Shack, and it had 2 wheels in the middle that had 2 motors underneath, 2 motors. The front wheels and the back wheels are just to help steady it. The first layer are the batteries, the AA batteries right there. There's 3 of them, 4.5 volts for the motors. Then there's a 9-volt battery in the front for the Arduino board with its motor shield on top. The motor shield allows you to plug in 2 motors and make them go forward or backwards and go at different speeds. So that, I think it was only $10 at Radio Shack. It was a pretty good deal for the motor shield. First I was going to make an H bridge and make my own, but that got too complex. I'll demo this in just a minute, but before I do, my last project is sort of a recapitulation of my first project, which was going to be a pinball game with a ball bearing in this little frame that you roll around, and you'd hit these little pins and lights would light up and all that, but it wasn't very accurate. The darn ball wouldn't really touch and make contact very well, and it was hard to roll it around inside of this frame. So now what I'm going to do is take a piece of parchment paper or vellum paper, put over the front of this, and put LEDs behind, either red, green, and blue, that automatically change colors or that I can change their colors. and have them go from bright to dark, like breathing, the breathing programs. And I'm going to use the remote with an infrared sensor to actually make different channels or different parts of this light up. So my grandson can draw a nice picture. He likes to draw, put it on the front in watercolor so it'll be somewhat transparent, and he can change the channels or pick like yellow, give me more yellow colors, blue more blue, red more red LEDs, so forth, different color LEDs and different speed lighting and so forth. So that's my project that I'm working on at the current time. In fact, here's an example of one little board that I got from Radio Shack that will go inside there, and one of the options will cause this to look like a fire. See it blinking? Yellow, red, and solid red sort of blinking. So there'll be a little bit of blinking in there if you want that option. So that's an LED project. Okay, let me show you the little tank. I'll get the camera off of the computer, and we'll go over to the wall here. Maybe I shouldn't be running it up on the desk in case it comes off of the desk, but let's try it. This is the okay, here we go. The button on the back is the on and off switch, and it's on, going forward. So it turns around, sees the wall, comes back, turns around again, sees my hand, goes back, turns around, goes toward the wall, comes back, turns 180 degrees, comes forward, goes backward a little bit, turns around, goes that way, comes back, turns around, and we'll do, do this forever until the battery runs down. I was going to turn it just 90 degrees or a random amount, but this seemed to be more consistent. I can put it in a hallway and have it run backward and forward. I might put a remote infrared on it so that I can stop it or have some control with the remote rather than having to pick it up. I'd like to be able to stop it. Now I got to grab the darn thing and pick it up to turn it off. Whoops, see what I mean? There we got it. Okay, so those are my Arduino projects. One thing I wanted to mention is that if you do build your own little board, let me show you this little board here that I built. Let me take it over to the light, show up better in the light. There we go. They're pretty easy to build. Just get a little Radio Shack board and then just solder on the back on the copper terminals. I did get a socket for the microcontroller chip. The socket makes it easier to deal with. And I put headers in so I can plug in wires into my own little board. But it really doesn't require much, just a little white crystal there at 16 megahertz, a couple little capacitors. I did put a reset button in on pin number 1. And on the other end here I do have a voltage regulator and a couple capacitors so that if I want to put a 9-volt battery in, I can. Now, in order to load the program down, well, here's my infrared detector I'm testing now for my art project. But if you want to load your program down to your own little board, you have to get a one of these little chips here for $15, one of these little boards. And this just has 6-pin header that plugs in, 6-pin socket, and then the other end plugs into your computer. So this is the serial interface to the Arduino board. That's the serial interface right there that goes into the Arduino board. And so that's about it. I've really enjoyed the process of programming and setting up these little guys and projects. By the way, in the back of my head here you can see some of my other hobbies. This is the radio control airplane. That's a what's his name? The Albatross that the Red Baron flew. And I haven't flown it yet. Over here is my sailboat. I was out with that yesterday in the swimming pool. And so that's another hobby there. And I like to play the piano. There's the electronic piano. So this is our hobby room. This is a condo right now, which we'll be moving out of at some point and get a bigger home, bigger antennas for my ham radio as well. Okay, this is Bill signing off.